Some things only show up once in a lifetime, and when they do, you either ignore them or your reality changes forever. You didn't get here by mistake. This video wasn't just a random click. It was a calling. The wisdom that's about to be revealed isn't theory, it's code, a vibrational code used by ancient beings who understood how to manipulate reality. And this code doesn't show up for just anyone. It appears to those who are ready. And if you feel like something in your field has started to break, if things around you seem out of place, if you've been noticing too many signs to be mere coincidence, then it's because the frequency has already started to touch you. Don't try to understand it with your mind. This isn't about knowledge, it's about vibration. What Thoth taught was hidden for millennia, but now it has appeared to you. And what this wisdom does, it's not just about manifesting desires. It reveals what you truly are. And when that happens, there's no going back. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover will never leave your field. The soul attracts what it secretly cultivates in silence. What has been activated now will begin to move. But before you understand exactly what's moving, it's necessary to understand one thing. This knowledge that's about to emerge within you isn't new. It wasn't invented just now. It wasn't created by any new age, nor by internet gurus. This knowledge is ancient, extremely ancient, and for that very reason, it was silenced. Imagine a wisdom so powerful that it could free any mind from the invisible prison that rules this world. Information so transformative that if it were freely available, no structure of power could remain standing. That is exactly why it had to be hidden, but not buried. It was sealed, protected, hidden within ancient traditions passed down orally in codes, symbols, and practices that required more than curiosity. They required vibrational preparation. This knowledge circulated in the hands of Sufis, Kabbalists, Rosicrucians, and not because they wanted to monopolize the knowledge, but because they knew this wisdom couldn't be given to someone who still lives as a slave to their own mind. These groups were called occultists, esoterics, heretics, but because they dared to say that the power is not in the sky, nor on earth. It's in you, and that when you access this power, you become uncontrollable. And the system fears that. History has always been written by those who held the power, and everything that posed a risk to the established order was labeled as dangerous, cursed, or improper. But what few realize is that this danger was never external. The real danger was in spiritual autonomy, in someone realizing they don't need to be saved, that they are already free, that they can shape reality from their own vibration. That's what the ancient Sufis tried to teach with their spiral dances, connecting the body to the energy of the universe, breaking the veil of duality through movement. It wasn't art, it was sacred technology. That's what the Kabbalah preserved in its enigmatic diagrams, like the tree of life. Each sphere, each path, an internal map of how the soul descends into matter and then ascends again, carrying the brightness of the One. That's what the Rosicrucians hid beneath Hermetic symbols, where the rose blooms at the center of the cross, the spirit awakening in the midst of the pain of matter, remembering that even crucified, the sacred does not die. This knowledge was not kept out of fear of the people, but out of fear of manipulation, because a misunderstood truth can be turned into a weapon, and a tool of creation in the wrong hands can become a mechanism of domination. And that's why the wisdom of Thoth was silenced. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the one who didn't speak of belief, but of frequency, the one who didn't impose doctrine, but left codes. Codes that only open when the soul is vibrating at the exact point of remembrance. And now that point has been touched in you. You may not have understood yet. It may seem confusing, dense, even absurd. But that's because your mental field is still trying to interpret something that can only be understood vibrationally. This isn't about memorizing. It's about recognizing. And that's what begins to happen when this kind of wisdom touches your field. It doesn't ask for permission to be understood. It simply resonates. And when it resonates, it activates. And that is exactly why this technique had to be hidden for centuries. The first sign that you are ready. Because it doesn't depend on words. It's not transmitted like any regular teaching. It needs to be recognized as if it were already inside you, just waiting for the right moment to emerge, not with noise, but with silence. You know what I'm talking about, even if your mind still can't put it into words. It's that feeling of having heard this before, even without ever studying it. A kind of memory that didn't come from childhood or from school. It came from a deeper place. A place where time doesn't pass like it does out here, where everything simply is. That's the first sign that you're ready, because this wisdom doesn't knock on the door of someone who's still trying to prove something. It only shows up when the field is open, when there is inner space, when the noise of identity begins to dissolve. And even if quietly, the silent question arises, what if everything I thought I knew wasn't the center of truth? From this point on, it's no longer about searching. It's about listening, about feeling what's already vibrating inside. Because the whole body responds when truth appears. The mind doubts, but the field vibrates, and it's in that vibration that everything begins. You don't need to know how to manifest anything. And maybe that's the biggest mistake of those who seek, wanting to control the process, forcing the result, visualizing as if reality were a wish-fulfilling app. But that's not how the field works. Human consciousness doesn't create through effort. It creates through frequency. And that's why real manifestation isn't about asking. It's not about listing once or repeating phrases like automatic mantras. It's about aligning your field with the original field. And that doesn't happen on the level of ideas. It happens on the level of vibration. You are a receiver. You always have been since birth. You've been absorbing everything around you. Sounds, shapes, emotions, thoughts, energies. You capture, record, respond. Even when you think you're in control, it's your field, reacting to the collective field, to family memories, inherited traumas, to stories. You don't even remember where they came from. And all of this forms your reception code. That's why two people can be in the same situation and have completely different outcomes. It's not bad luck. It's frequency. And frequency comes from the field, not from words. This field is like a radio station that never stops transmitting signals. Only instead of music, it transmits reality. Your external life is the direct reflection of the frequency you emit unconsciously. You don't have to consciously want something. If your field vibrates scarcity, you attract scarcity. If it vibrates fear, you attract what reinforces that fear. But when the field starts to vibrate consciousness, something changes. You begin to notice the patterns. You begin to see that what seemed random was actually being generated by you all along, not on the level of ego, but on the level of vibration. It's at this point that you stop living as a victim of circumstances, and you begin to understand that everything, absolutely everything, is organizing itself based on your energetic signature. But that reception is still passive. And the secret lies exactly in how to reverse that. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you are, to the vibration you hold. When no one is watching, to the silent motives behind your choices. It doesn't matter what you do on the surface. What changes the field is the hidden why behind the gesture. And this is where the inversion begins. You might be helping someone, offering a gift, doing good. But if behind that, there's an intention for recognition, for approval, for validation, the universe doesn't read the action. It reads the vibrational code of the intention. Reality doesn't shift because of appearances. It shifts because of the frequency behind the appearance. And that frequency is born at the point where intention begins. Now observe this. Every human being, in essence, is always receiving, even when they think they're giving. We receive attention. We receive experiences, we receive stimuli, opportunities, challenges, lessons, we receive even when we reject. Because even rejection is a form of experience that arrives. But there's a hidden key in this process. You don't have to stop receiving. That would be unnatural. What changes everything is what happens energetically when you turn the simple act of receiving into an act of giving back. It sounds paradoxical, but that's what begins to reverse the flow. It's not about giving up the experience. It's the opposite. It's about living it so fully with such awareness that the simple fact of receiving something already becomes an offering to the field. You receive with such presence and gratitude that the act of receiving itself becomes a vibration of giving. It's like you're saying to the universe, everything that reaches me will be amplified and returned. At that point, your vibrational identity changes because you're no longer a consumer of reality. You become an amplifier of reality. The field understands that you're not just here to absorb. You're here to circulate, recycle, expand. This is the moment when your energetic signature starts aligning with the creator field itself. Because the universe by nature doesn't hold on. It flows, it creates, it delivers. It doesn't keep anything for itself. It gives. Constantly. And when you replicate that same pattern even while still playing the role of receiver, your vibration matches its own. This isn't symbolic. This is real. You might be receiving an opportunity, a blessing, a success. But if your intention is for that to also be a source of something greater, if your intention doesn't end with you, but spreads, overflows, shares, then the field understands. Here is someone vibrating with the same code as the source. And when that equivalence happens, everything around starts to align. Situations that once seemed stuck begin to flow. Doors that were closed open effortlessly. People show up along the way as living answers. Because the universe starts reacting like an intelligent organism. It senses that you're no longer operating as a regular receiver. It feels that your presence activates the flow, and so it expands. The inversion happens. What once came from the outside and now starts emanating from the inside out. And that simple, silent inversion, imperceptible to those who only observe the surface, completely changes how reality responds to your existence. You're no longer trying to make life work. Life starts working around you, because now, recognizes itself in you. And when that code is activated, the universe stops testing you. It starts shaping itself to you. The game changes when you become the mirror. In this moment, the game changes. And it changes silently, almost imperceptibly. But those who are paying attention can feel it. Because the effort disappears, the internal struggle stops. That constant pressure to control, to try to attract, to chase after things simply loses its grip. And not because everything became magical or perfect, but because something much deeper has repositioned. You stopped acting like someone separate from reality and started behaving as a reflection of it. You became a mirror, and mirrors don't force. Mirrors don't compete. They simply reflect with precision what's in front of them. And when your vibration aligns with the vibration of the whole recognizes itself in you. It stops pushing, tests your way, and starts using you as a channel, as a living expression. In that moment, you're no longer manifesting. You are being manifested. The field watches you just as much as you watch it. And when it sees that your intention is clean, coherent, stable, it mirrors you. It places you where your frequency needs to be. It brings people who resonate with your purpose. It aligns opportunities with your presence. Not out of worthiness, but out of vibrational compatibility. You begin to operate as an extension of source consciousness, and that changes everything. You stop being the character trying to achieve things and become the field where things happen. You stop operating in the I need to do something to get something mode and start functioning in the I'm vibrating something that already is mode. It's a shift in axis from inside out, from pressure to expansion. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't shallow law of attraction. It's resonance. And resonance is the most precise language of the universe. All creation responds to coherence. Everything that vibrates out of harmony has to work harder to exist. It has to keep itself forced. It has to push. But what is in harmony doesn't struggle to exist. It simply occupies space naturally, like light entering through an open window. And when you become a mirror of the source, you start emitting that same naturalness. Life starts recognizing you not as a spectator, but as an active reflection, a living manifestation of the creative field. And that's why the universe begins to mold to you. Because now it understands you're no longer asking. You're resonating. And here's the deepest point of this shift. You don't need to explain anything anymore. People around you will start to feel it. They'll notice that there's something different about you, that your presence carries a stability that's not easily shaken, that your words carry truth, that your gaze transmits certainty. And this isn't about ego. It's about alignment. You become a mirror, not just for the universe, but for others. And by seeing you, many will begin to see themselves. This is how true reality shifters operate, without a stage, without a speech, just vibrating who they are, just embodying what the field wants to expand. But this circuit is still incomplete. And what's missing is the most challenging point of all, because it's not enough to vibrate like the source. You need to remain whole in the face of what tries to fragment you. Every powerful energy carries a price, integrity. And integrity has nothing to do with morality. It has to do with vibrational coherence, with being one inside and out, with holding the same frequency when you're alone and when you're in front of the world. This is the true breaking point, because up to here, everything felt like energy, flow, expansion. But now, the field will test you in a different way, putting you face to face with what you judge, with what you avoid, with what still separates the me from the other. Because this is where the most demanding law comes into play, the law that can't be faked. Love the other as yourself, but that doesn't mean liking everyone. It has nothing to do with being nice or forcing a spiritual smile while canceling yourself inside. Loving the other as yourself is recognizing that they are you literally, philosophically, vibrationally. And that changes everything. Because when you understand that the other is just an extension of the same field that manifests, you can't keep the masks on. Judgment falls away. Comparison loses meaning. Even conflicts change tone. Because now, you're dealing with reflections, not enemies. But recognizing this takes courage. Because the first thing that true love does is show you how fragmented you still are. It exposes your shadows. It activates memories you tried to bury. It brings to the surface everything you projected onto others, so you wouldn't have to look at it in yourself. This is where the game flips inside out. Because loving the other as yourself means stopping the escape from the parts of you that you reject. It means stopping the self-division. It means integrating even what hurts, what shames, what you don't want anyone to see. And when you do that, the other stops being a threat and becomes a mirror. This is the highest challenge of the spiritual path, because most people want to evolve without having to forgive, want to awaken without going down into the dark. Parts of the soul want light without crossing their own shadow. But that doesn't exist. Unity is only real when it includes everything, even what you tried to deny, even those who hurt you, even the parts of you that still want to run away. And that's exactly where the law of love begins to operate. When you can look at the other, any other, and recognize they are the same field of consciousness that pulses in you. And this isn't learned in books. This gets activated in practice, in real relationships, in traffic, in conflict, in uncomfortable conversations. It's easy to love those who understand you. The field wants to see if you can hold the vibration in front of those who confront you, because that's where the level of integration is measured, not in theory, but in experience. And the universe notices everything. It doesn't respond to pretty words. It responds to real vibration. If you fake love, but inside you're judging, comparing, separating, the field feels it because true love can't be acted. It can only be lived. It is the silent recognition that everything is one. And it is exactly here where most people give up, without realizing they were inches from the door. The activation of the light body, because crossing this point doesn't require effort. It requires presence. And presence isn't a mental state. It's a vibrational state. Those still trying to understand love don't cross over, because the love that activates the field isn't the one you explain, it's the one you become. This is the threshold of the invisible crossing, the moment when you stop walking the path and start being the path. There are no maps, there are no signs, but there is a vibration that begins to take shape within you, a sensation of silent integration, as if for the first time, your soul was standing upright inside your body. And everything changes. What used to feel like separation now starts to dissolve. The mind still tries to resist, to bring back logic, judgments, old stories, but something deeper doesn't move. It's there, it's whole. This conscious love isn't an emotion. It isn't affection. It's an active frequency that begins to circulate through your field, as if it were moving through your body's energy centers with a new signature. It has no name, no language, but it has presence. And when that presence finds space, it pulses. Thoth called this vibrational communion, a state where the separation between you and the source dissolves, not by belief, but by direct experience. You're no longer invoking anything. You become compatible with everything. And at this level of compatibility, reality no longer needs to be forced. It starts to happen. Manifestation stops being an attempt and becomes a consequence. You enter the field where what needs to come comes, where what needs to go goes, not by will, but by pure resonance. This love, this silent recognition of unity not only transforms the way you see the world, it transforms your body. Because when this unification is real, something starts to light up inside you. It's as if a part of your system that's always been asleep begins to awaken, not in a magical or spectacular way, but subtly, like a light slowly turning on in a dark chamber. And as that light turns on, you begin to feel your own field reorganizing. Your perception of time starts to change. Minutes no longer feel linear, hours don't carry the same weight. You begin to feel a fluidity in the air, a lightness in your thoughts, a deeper silence in moments where there used to be anxiety. This is the beginning of the activation of the light body. And no, this has nothing to do with becoming a glowing, magical being in the dark. Activation isn't about looking different. It's about functioning differently. Your field begins to emit more than it absorbs. Your body becomes more sensitive to truth and less reactive to noise. Your words begin to carry pure intention, as if energy were passing directly through your voice. People feel this. Situations respond to this. Life reorganizes around this. You become a high-frequency channel, and the more present you are in that vibration, the faster the universe responds. Not because it's been convinced by you, but because now you vibrate the same. The field no longer separates you from creation. It recognizes you as an active part of the creative mechanism itself. The light body is in practice, a state of full presence, a state where what you think, feel, vibrate, and manifest are in alignment. That's what allows manifestations to come with speed, with precision, with ease, because you stopped being a point of interference and became a point of coherence. And it's in that state that manifestation becomes inevitable. Because now, the universe is no longer responding to what you want. It's responding to what you are. This is the final shift, the fine line where everything starts to reorganize without effort, without visualization, without negotiation. You don't ask. You vibrate and the field responds. It's at this point that the universe bows, not out of obedience, but out of recognition. Your presence becomes a vector, a pure emanation of vibrational coherence. And coherence is the sound reality respects the most. It's as if suddenly everything that once resisted starts to open up. Not by miracle, but by tuning. You become the center of a magnetic field that doesn't attract by force, but by integrity. Nothing needs to be pushed anymore. What comes, comes because it's ready to come. What goes, goes because it has already served its purpose. Life starts to move you with almost absurd precision. People you never expected reappear. Ideas come out of nowhere. Situations converge. Time seems to conspire. The mind tries to understand, but it can't. Because what you've accessed now is another level of intelligence, synchronicity. And synchronicity is when the universe stops testing you and starts using you as a tool for expansion. You became a field within the field. And all of this happens because you activated what almost no one activates in this life. Because while many keep trying to force the flow with techniques and formulas, you went quiet. And in the silence, you returned to the original state, the state Thoth taught, but that few had the courage to live now. You no longer need to create reality through effort, because you are reality in expansion. And this is where the journey closes, but not as an end, as the beginning of another state of existence. Now, you don't manifest out of desire. You manifest from identity. There's no more space for trying to make it work. There's no more doubt about whether it's going to happen or not, because what you manifest now isn't separate from you. It's just the visible extension of what you've become inside. You became conscious, field. You became frequency with form. The universe, which once seemed inconsistent, now spins with precision around you because you're no longer out of rhythm. You're beating with the same pulse as creation. There's no more anxiety, no more comparison. You don't need to chase anything, because what is yours presents itself. What belongs to you vibrationally finds its way to you. And what doesn't simply doesn't sustain. And all of this was born from two silent movements. Receiving as one who offers, loving as one who recognizes. These two gestures are not techniques. They're reconnections. They're living codes that align your field to the original field. And that's why they don't give you power. They return you to the point where you are the power itself. The point where reality starts to happen through you, effortlessly, without noise, without ego. The point where creation recognizes you as part of it. Thoth's most powerful wisdom appeared to you. And now that it vibrates inside you, there's no turning back. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already started to awaken. So write in the comments, I received the code that will be our secret sign. A vibrational recognition among those who are already accessing this wisdom. And before you go, pay attention. I've prepared a special video with the direct continuation of this journey. It's already on the screen now. That's where we're going to meet again. Click on that video and meet me there. Because the field is already open, and you've already begun to cross.